Do you have questions concerning planning a Disney trip? Ask them live on the show or submit them on our website at patmdisneytravel.wixsite.com/planning.
Hey, what's going on, Disney friends? It is Matt with the DPI podcast, and we've got a great show tonight. We're going to recap the Lorcana happenings from the weekend, and we've got a ton of Disney news to get through. And we are just kind of on a flyer tonight. So, who knows what kind of shape I'm going to be in for the whole show. So expect some yawns and all that kind of fun stuff, because I am beat today. So yeah. But we've got a lot going on. If you're over on the YouTube chat, chime in, say hey. Let me know what's going on. If you're in Twitch, thanks for finding us over on Twitch. If you want to hit that follow button, great. We talk Disney, talk Lorcana, we play Lorcana. And we do it every week. So we're not going to bombard you with streams every day, unless that's what you want. And if you haven't already, go over. We released our Villains Unfairly Ever After video tonight. And since it is a non-monetized one, it doesn't get pushed out through YouTube in the same way. So just look up the channel and you can see our newest video. Hey Jake, long time no see, buddy. Hopefully we can get together here in the next couple of weeks and sit down and play some games. But no, let's go ahead. Let's get into the show. And like I said, we got a lot to talk about. Hi, I'm Matt. Welcome to Disney Planning Insights. Through creative content and live shows, we explain the hidden details of the Disney experience so that our clients can execute memorable adventures. Together with Princesses and the Mouse, Disney Travel, we have helped hundreds of clients plan, book, and prepare for magical Disney vacations. Let our experience help you avoid common planning mistakes and maximize the enjoyment on your next Disney trip. Hey, what's going on, everybody? It is Matt. It is Monday night. It is DPI Live. Disney Planning Insights. If you haven't been here before, we talk Disney really from a trip planning aspect, but lots of parks news. Also talk Lorcana. Disney Lorcana, if you are unfamiliar, is a trading card game released by Ravensburger a couple of years ago. And yeah, there's just a lot going on around those two spheres right now. Over the weekend, Disney Lorcana held their World Championships. We're going to get into that. Also, we've got a lot with the reopening of Test Track and some things that are kind of finalizing and opening around Disneyland for the 70th. So before we get into any of the news, I want to say thank you to a bunch of subscribers and followers. Over the last week, we had another 20-something subscribers over on the YouTube side. Had one new follower over on Twitch. The new follower was Sebio45. If you were on the show last week, you saw Sebio and some of our interaction as he was on Twitch live chatting with us. So Sebio, thanks for the follow over there. Over on YouTube, Johnny Zapote, Caden Gardner. Come on. Psycho Flip. Oh, I didn't get King Gardner. There it is. Nicola Mena. Emma Simmons. Anthony Crespino. Riley 3890. And Jamie Eller. Or Ripley 3890. Sorry about that. But thank you guys all for subscribing over on YouTube. YouTube is flying now. We are at 1,160 subscribers, which is awesome. You know, if you follow the channel, we passed that 1,000 subscriber mark on May the 14th. And to be at 1160 already is awesome. So want to thank you all for subscribing, following, sharing stuff, watching videos, all that kind of stuff that you guys do to propel the channel forward, which is awesome. Like I said earlier, if you haven't already, jump over and watch the Villains Unfairly Ever After show. Kind of a surprise ending on it. I want you guys to see it. Let me know what you think. Because it's such a unique show, I didn't want to post it multiple times. And if you've seen it, you know what I mean. I wanted to post it once, and then I wanted to let you guys figure out what you wanted to do from there. So let me know what you think on that. And I know that the highlights are overblown on the left camera at the beginning of the show. 100%. It was opening week. I had no clue what settings to use on it, and I knew I was probably only going to get one chance. Luckily, I got 2 chances to shoot it. The other shot is much better on the highlights, but it's a super hard shot without like really, really good camera equipment. So yeah, it is what it is. Okay, let's get into a little bit of the news. I don't even know. Let me see. Okay. Nobody's coming on today, so we are going to talk a lot. Let's start Lorcana. Lorcana had a big weekend. It was World Championships down at Walt Disney World in Florida. They held the event at Yacht and Beach Club. I felt bad for most of the casters because it looked like they put the casters up at Art of Animation. So Yacht and Beach Club, Deluxe Resort. Art of Animation, Value Resort. So JDK wasn't there. Don't know where he was. But he wasn't in the picture at the pool at Art of Animation with the rest of the casters. But so World Championships, they did it a couple different formats. They did on day one, they did a super sealed three Swiss rounds of super sealed, which basically they got 4 packs of the 4 newest sets of Lorcana and had to build their best 50 card deck out of that. Now, if you've played in sealed events before, they play a little different at your local card store. You know, normally you'll get 6 packs, you make your best 40 card deck out of it, no color limitations. They got 16 packs, 3 color limit, and it had to be 50 cards. It wasn't going to be 51, it wasn't going to be 49, it had to be 50. So they played 3 rounds of Swiss on that, and then the next 3 rounds were what is called triple deck. So triple deck is you bring 3 decks and your opponent gets the ability to bench 1. You have to win with both of the decks that you have in play, playing one at a time, of course. Once you got to 5 wins, you were in. 3 and 5. They had 8 rounds the first day, I think, because you had to get to 5 wins to make it to day 2. Then you made it to day 2, and it was a knockout triple deck format. Played the same way as the triple deck the night before. Until the finals. The finals was a best of 5. You had to win with all 3 decks. No decks were benched. You had to win with all 3. The winner, to very few people's surprise, was DKP, Din Kang Pham, from Germany. And why I say it wasn't really a surprise, he dominated through the DLC circuit. He won the Australian event to get his Punch to Worlds, and just a strong player. Has a deck named after him already. I mean, you're 2 years in and you already have a deck named after you. He's just one of those players. And he took down the trophy, beating out Edward Chu, who was the number 1 seed. So Edward Chu, an American, Ding Kang Pham, German. So EU versus USA in the finals, and EU took it down. Really, really well done event. So from a caster perspective, from somebody that tapes games and knows what it takes to do that, they did a really good job. They had hand cams, they had overhead cams, they had a lot of good views to watch the event. The couple of things that really jumped out at me as far as the event went. On day 1, I wish we would have seen more of the rounds, whether they staggered them to where we got 2 live tables each round or whatever. I wish we would have seen more players in day 1. Day 2, you saw every match that was played, which was cool. They also did a lot of their DLC announcements in day 2, which we kind of figured they were going to do. And we'll get to that here in a second. But so from the table standpoint, I thought it was well done, all that kind of stuff. Okay, the casters, they could have done better with the casters. And here was my problem with some of the casters, is you are broadcasting a world championship. You need to have casters there that know the cards. And there was multiple instances where the casters didn't know the card that was being played. Or the caster saw a card in hand, thought it was something else, explained the wrong card, and then realized, oh, that's wrong, and then explained the right card. As a caster, you've got to go into that, and you have got to know the cards better than the players almost. You've got to have notes. I'm really surprised that the casters didn't get the lists earlier. 1 or 2 more streams. Yeah, 100%. I would have liked to have seen a secondary channel, Jake. You know, we had talked about it in our league format here locally. You know, I wanted to see like a red zone type channel where maybe you had a channel that, you know, you had 28 players, so that means you had 14 tables. I would have loved to have seen a channel that had 14 feeds on it. Now, granted, the resources it takes to do something like that are tremendous. And if you're putting your casters up at a value resort at Walt Disney World for your World Championships, if Ravensburger even paid for the casters' hotel rooms, that's telling on cash flow right now. That they really didn't have the cash to do more than they did. Now, their setups were really nice. They looked like they were shooting with C300s. I didn't see any issues with the stream, so it was well done. They have room to grow. You have a group of casters, I think, that would have been better. I mean, you really overlooked people like Spessy, Moyen, those types of people that would have understood the cards and the play lines a little bit better than, you know, the casters that wanted to talk about puppies and racers the whole time. So, you got room to grow. Okay, let's get the DLCs. So DLCs, last year, there were 6 DLCs in North America. Over the next 18 months, there's going to be 3. There's a big difference. And people need to understand that there's going to be a big difference. They announced that there's going to be 12 rounds of Swiss in these. 12 rounds of Swiss commands 2,000 to 2,500 players. So what they picked were these venues in these cities that had large enough venues to host a 2,500 player event, that had venues that were easy to get to from hotels. And I got into it with, who was it? Lorcana TCG News, their X account last night, over the locations. And basically what I said was, okay, you've got these locations that have really good convention space, really close to hotels, that aren't super expensive. It's not expensive to travel to Indianapolis. It's not expensive to travel to Richmond. It's not expensive to travel to Milwaukee. You know, yes, for somebody from Los Angeles, are you going to carpool to Milwaukee like you did to Vegas? No. But when you look at who had the events, Vegas, Seattle had events last year. LA gets Continentals. Anaheim is LA. Don't tell me it's not. And Orlando gets Worlds. Continentals are going to have an LCQ, and it's going to be a large LCQ. It's not going to be this, you know, what? It was 36 pods of 8. No, it's not going to be that. You're gonna see an LCQ that's probably going to produce 100 players. I bet you that produces 96. Because I think you're going to see 32, 32, 32, and then 96 come from the LCQ. And you're going to have close to a 200-person main event for Continentals. It's going to be a huge event. And you're going to see the top, what'd they say, 11, top 8 come out of that. So you either have to win a DLC, or you have to be in the top 8 of your Continentals. Alright? You get in. So you're looking at Continentals, probably a 200-person event. You're getting 8 invites to Worlds out of Continentals, and there's going to be pass downs. More than likely, there's going to be pass downs. So you could finish in the top 12 and still get an invite to Worlds. Potentially. Okay. So there's also going to be a Brazil region. There's going to be an Asia region. There's going to be an Australia region. And there's going to be a Southeast Asia region. So the China, Japan, Southeast Asia, EU, Brazil, Australia, North America. There'll be lots of events going on. None of them overlap. So if you do want to travel, you can. Really, the only bummer is Indianapolis is over Father's Day. So, I mean, you can stereotype all you want. It's still Father's Day. But so yeah. So I think they did it well. You know, where could they have done a little bit better? I think if they would have done 10 round events and added 2 more. You know, I think Denver and New Orleans completely shuts up the whole argument. And if Ravensburger supports a bunch of, you know, 200 to 500 player events or 200 to 1,000 player events, I think you're going to see a lot of people just kind of simmer down. But, you know, I've been talking to people from different aspects. You know, one of my younger brothers, huge Magic player, and he said it doesn't matter what they announced, people would have complained because it's not close enough to somebody. So understandable, 100% understandable. All right, what else did they announce? They didn't announce a lot on the card side. Really, the only card news we got is we found out that the 1/1 evasive Pegasus is getting reprinted. You know, they did their prize wall and all that kind of stuff, but really, even off the prize wall, they didn't give any spoilers or a lot of on the spoiler side of things that could be reprinted. You know, it doesn't sound like Whole New World's going to be reprinted. Because it still had a set 1 designation on the promo card. So to me that says not getting reprinted. The Pegasus had a set 9 designation on it, which means that it's going to be playable. And then the other promo cards were all from sets in the last 4 releases. So all those cards are going to be playable for the next year as well. So really the one thing that kind of confused me was, why didn't we get any news on what's happening at the end of August? So normally your set championships will run for basically like a month, for like, the last ones were the month of May, I believe. No, they were month of April. No, I was right. Month of May. They were the month of May. And then you'd have your release at the end of May, beginning of June. You'd have June, July, and then you have set championships for the month of August. Set championships are starting in 2 weeks, middle of July, and they're running through the first week of August. So it's basically leading up. It's the second weekend in August, I understand it. But they're leading up to something after the 9th, the 10th. After the 10th, you've got the weekend of the 16th and 17th. You got the weekend of the 23rd and 24th. You got the weekend of the 30th, where there's nothing leading up into Fabled. What are you doing? Are you going to put an Infinity event in? Are you really going to pound out like what Infinity means, what the ban list is, all that kind of stuff, and let your card shops have an Infinity event? How are you going to do this? Why haven't you announced anything on this yet? Because it's really confusing how you've got this lined up right now. So yeah, it's super, super confusing right now, and I don't know what to make of it. But all in all, really good weekend for the franchise. Really good weekend for the players. They learned kind of what's going on, and I guess the big news is July 16th. If you are interested in one of those DLCs in North America or Europe, July 16th is when the tickets are going to go on sale for those 6 events. Lack of updates on PlayHub. I don't know that they need updates on PlayHub, though. PlayHub's up and running. You can go, you can log on. All the stores should be moving over to it for this set championship. So I don't know that there should be a whole lot on the update side. I'd love to see a mobile app. I think it'd be better for players if there was a mobile app. But no, I don't think you need anything on PlayHub. Here, let me PlayHub. Yeah. You got a lot of places using it. Let's see if I can just throw my other screen up here. Just seeing. Yeah. Yeah, lots of local Heroes is using it. They've got theirs set up for this week. I don't see that I don't see that Moonshot's got theirs set up, but yeah, Heroes has their stuff. already set up. You can go and you can join the event. So, yeah, shouldn't be a problem. I don't know. So we'll see. Let's talk a little bit about Disney news. Like I said, tons of Disney news to get to this week as well. A lot of little things, but just a lot of things. So let's start off. Tinkerbell Pixie Hall of Meet and Greet finally reopens on June 29th at Disneyland Park, so that would have been yesterday. Tinkerbell Meet and Greets are really, really fun. I hated when Disney went to the RoboCam for it, because the spontaneous interaction and having a real person in there taking pictures makes a lot of sense. Hopefully it's a real person over at Disneyland, but at least it's back, because like I said, Tinkerbell meet and greets are really good, especially if you get a good Tinkerbell. Dream Factory over Disneyland Paris. Dream Factory, fantastic show. It used to be a Disney Junior Dream Factory, dropping the Disney Junior title when it comes back later this year. So, or early 26, it's going to reopen. So it's going to be an updated version, and sounds like it might have new characters if they're dropping that Disney Junior title, which is awesome. So if you like Disney shows, Disneyland Paris has a couple of the best ones. Dream Factory was fantastic. Lion King, Rhythm of the Pride Lands was unbelievable. So definitely, if you have a chance to get over there, see some of the shows, go do that. Pirates of the Caribbean will no longer be offered as a Lightning Lane attraction starting July 1st. This is for the one over in Disneyland, California. They were using it as an overflow while construction was going on Haunted Mansion. It just made sense for it to be a Lightning Lane attraction at that point. Now it does not, so they are taking it away as of July 1st, which is awesome. Pirates, it has a great line to wait in, and they can loop it around the outside pretty easily. So, no, just a fantastic ride. Absolutely. Animation Courtyard replacement imminent. We'll put this in the rumor file for right now. Word around Launch Bay is there's now a completed concept for Animation Courtyard, as in we could release this to the public. Not sure what ideas made it in or timeline, but they've settled on a direction. This is from cast members that kind of understand what's going on, so maybe something to watch at D23 to see if we get something about Animation Courtyard at Disney's Hollywood Studios. Speaking of D23, 2025 schedule has been released. This is Destination D23 2025. And the schedule, these aren't super different from year to year. They add in new panels. They add in new discussions. But basically, Saturday, you're getting presentations in the morning, you're getting a 2-hour break, you're getting presentations in the afternoon, you get an evening break, and then they're doing the Kuzcotopia thing over at Typhoon Lagoon for the attendees. Then Sunday, you get presentations in the morning, an afternoon break, presentations in the afternoon, and then it concludes at 5:30, which is super late. It's super late for the Sunday event. Usually it's done by like 2, and you have time to get into the parks or get to an airplane or that kind of stuff. So highlights of this year: a celebration of 80 years of the Three Caballeros, archival deep dive into Disney you didn't know, get ready to have your Disney trivia challenge and your nostalgia ignited, look into Disney projects from across the globe. I mean, just kind of the same stuff. Like I said, just a few different panels. It is what it is. Maybe D23. We'll hear more Lorcana announcements. I don't know. I would love to hear them announce that they're replacing the Sorcerers of the Magic Kingdom with a Lorcana variation. I think, to me, that makes the most sense. But who knows? Who knows? Maybe they announce, the Continentals and Worlds kind of location lineup. Who knows? Because we know Continentals were at Disneyland Hotel last year, which I believe is an infinitely better location than Worlds were at, which is crazy to think, at Yacht and Beach Club. So, Disney ends $99 down payment on annual passes. I don't know why I put my news screen over there. That was kind of goofy. So, before, you used to be able to get your annual pass, put $99 down, pay a monthly installment on that. Now you can just pay the first month, basically. So you don't get that discount because, if you're out of the state of Florida, you basically have to buy a $1,500 annual pass now. More than $99 a month. So you got to deal with that. Disney files permits for the demolition of Tom Sawyer Island. It's coming, guys. Just understand that. There's no turning back now. They're clearing out a ton of land on the other side of the rivers for the laydown yard for all of the equipment and all that kind of stuff. It's coming. Just be ready for it. July 6th is the last day to experience Rivers of America, Tom Sawyer Island, and the Liberty Bell. So, next week, we got a week. A week! And then the stuff's gone. Closed down. So, that whole backside of the park will be pretty much shut down. Big Thunder Mountain Railroad still closed. Those two attractions will be closed. I mean, hell, they might as well have just closed Hall of Presidents, Haunted Mansion, and Tiana's, and just say, hey, this whole side of the park is closed. Lilo and Stitch 2 is in development. I don't know how I feel about that. I think they did a good job with the live-action Lilo and Stitch. If you haven't seen it, I think it's worth it. We'll see. Construction on Disney Resort's new Coco attraction will begin soon. So at D23 last year, they announced that Disneyland was getting a Coco-themed attraction. Why they haven't replaced Three Caballeros with a Coco-themed attraction at Epcot? Who knows? But Disneyland's getting one. And you know what? It'll probably be a clone of the one that's going to go in the Epcot Pavilion, but they're just doing it at Disneyland first. I'm calling it. But yeah, we'll see. Three Caballeros is set up to do the same thing. You've got the screens, you have the ability, you've already got most of the cultural influence in there. You had some of the Dia de la Muertos stuff. It's an easy change. Let's see, touring plans, what did you have? Refurbs. Spaceship Earth's getting a refurb. Under the Sea, Journey of the Little Mermaid will close for routine refurbishment. Short one goes offline July 21st, comes back online July 26th. Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger spin. We knew this one was coming. This is one that they announced that they're getting a larger, or it's a larger refurbishment. They are redoing the blaster system. They're adding a showroom. They're redoing the targets. It's going to begin on August 1st. They haven't announced an end date. Touring plans think it's going to be somewhere in 2025. I don't think so. I think it's going to be 2026 before we get that back. So it's going to be one of those things that I think that one's going to kind of go on forever. The Buzz Lightyear getting a refurb is a telltale sign that we're getting a big Tomorrowland redo. I've talked about it on shows before. I'll continue to talk about it. Tomorrowland is getting a glow up. It'll probably blue sky either this year or next year at D23, and then you'll see something pretty final probably in 28, I would imagine, and they'll begin it in probably 2030. Yeah, that's a timeline, isn't it? I just gave you next 5 years. Let's see what else. Watch the moon landing, spaceship Earth. Yeah, we knew that. Spaceship Earth closing in August 2025, or August 20th, 25th, 2025. Jeez, get it out, Matt. No reimagining is being announced, so expect the Phoenicians and all your other favorite scenes to return. No end date has been announced, but the ride is scheduled to reopen later this year. So this is an interesting one because they have, in the past, pitched ideas on enhancing the scenes through the projection mapping technology, through the addition of LEDs, that kind of stuff. I'm interested to see if any of that comes through in a relatively large refurb, when we're talking possibly multiple months, if any of that gets done, or if this is just a very much a dust off the figures because we haven't done it in a couple of years type thing. So that'll be an interesting one to follow. So with that being said, Spaceship Earth's going to go down. We're getting Test Track back. Test Track opens up later next month, July 22nd. And we'll have a little bit more news on that here in a little bit. Yeah, we had some fun. Hall of Presidents. We talked a little bit about Hall of Presidents earlier. Hall of Presidents had been down, so every 4 years it goes through an update. With a new president, they add a new speaking role, a new animatronic if it's a completely new president, all that kind of stuff. So every 4 years-ish, we get a new president. Well, this is an interesting one because it's a president that's been president before but hasn't been president in 4 years. The old Donald Trump animatronic looked like Hillary Clinton. It did. Disney took a gamble and it didn't work out. So they put a tie and a wig on Hillary and made it, Hillary Trump. Well, Trump won again. So they redid the animatronic. They redid his speaking role, and it reopened quietly over the weekend, which is great because we are going into July 4th, people. It is kind of a big deal for America. We'll go back to Disney Lorcana. I kind of forgot about this, but a little bit more than a week to take advantage of an opportunity to buy Chapter 1 product. So Ravensburger is re-releasing some of the first chapter booster boxes. So you can get American booster boxes, Chinese booster boxes, and Japanese booster boxes of first chapter. They're doing it through Run Fair again. If you remember when they re-released the D23 gift sets, They did it through Run Fair. It'll be a random draw, and you will get it at retail if you win the drawing. So, the American booster boxes are going to be $143.99 plus the Run Fair fee, which is $299. So $145 for a first chapter box. Not a bad deal for considering they're going for over $300 right now. So if that's something that you're worth looking at, you can do that. Talked about that. Cruise line. I'm going to hold off on this until next year. I want to dive into this a little bit because Disney Cruise Line fiscal year 2024 annual report and financials were released yesterday. I want to have some time to look at it before I really jump into it. The reason being, I think we're starting to see a trend from the parks trickle into the cruise lines a little bit. And that's scary because Disney announced a huge expansion of the cruise line sector at D23 last year. Have already signed contracts on 7 new boats. It's going to be interesting to see if this trend happens, what they do with those boats. So yeah. More Lorcana Test Track. Annual pass holder previews for Test Track will take place July 13th through July 19th, excluding July 17th. They are not going to do it on the day that Starlight opens because all the pass holders are going to be at Magic Kingdom. We know that. Magic Kingdom park hoppers are our Magic Kingdom annual pass holder tickets are sold out. They're all going to be over there. Pass holders with an Epcot reservation can join a 7 a.m. virtual queue. A second opportunity at 1 p.m. will be open to all pass holders. So if you want to do it, you can do it. You can also check out ride videos already because people just can't keep stuff to themselves. And we will be re-releasing, I say re-releasing, it is a newer recording of Test Track on Wednesday. So definitely want to go over and check that out if you haven't been on the ride, or if you just want a little nostalgia of what the ride was that they just took away from you. We'll have that up Wednesday evening at 7 o'clock. So definitely want to check that out. Test Track will also be using the Lightning Lane multi-pass system. So it will not be the individual Lightning Lane attraction at Epcot. It will be a Tier 1 attraction during the pre-planning, along with Frozen Ever After and Remy's Ratatouille Adventure. Soarin' moves to the second tier, which is awesome because Soarin' is kind of a second tier attraction now at Epcot when you think about everything that's there. So yeah, like I said, tons to go over today. So, and I didn't even get to look at today, really. 69 posts, yeah. And Jim Shaw just posted, if you don't follow Jim Shaw on Twitter X, you need to. They do a great job of laying out the good, the bad, and the ugly of Disney Imagineering. And he released 5 hours ago a drawing of the Doors coaster. So, like I said, if you don't follow Jim Shaw, at Jim Shaw on Twitter X, and you're a Disney fan and you're kind of on the fence about some of the things that are going on right now, he's a terrific follow. He's unfiltered, ex-Imagineer, pretty awesome. Yeah. So I haven't seen a ton of stuff today, so I will be looking through all that stuff, and next week we will have basically an 8-day show, and I'll be having birthday beers, so we'll be having some fun with that as well. So yeah, so I hope you guys all have a good week. Again, thank you to everybody that subscribed, followed, liked, shared everything that you guys did this week. You know, we went through. Let's go back. Johnny Sabota, Kaden Garner, Psycho Flip, Nicola Mena, Emma Simmons, Anthony Crespino, Ripley 3890, Jamie Eller. You guys all made yourself public, and I super appreciate the follows and the subscriptions over on YouTube. So, everybody, have a good week. Stay cool. And let us know if you need any information about the parks. Until then, we will talk to you later. Bye now. Hey, we didn't have any guests this week, but maybe sometime we'll get a guest back out here. It's coming. We'll let you know. But it was fun. Hey, if you're looking for us on social media, you can find us on a lot of different places. Easiest is going to be over on Facebook at DPI Podcast on Facebook. Over on Twitter X, it's going to be at Disney Insights. We also have Instagram and YouTube and Twitch, and yeah. Thank you guys all for watching, liking, sharing, subscribing, following, everything else you do to support the channel. We appreciate you very much.